Okay, something went wrong. That didn't happen last time.
Mine says it's streaming now.
Okay, that's odd. Webinar is, so let me double check because Facebook told me something went wrong. Maybe one of them is lying. Well, one of them has to be lying because one's saying something went wrong and one's saying it's working. So there we go. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I see you. So we must be streaming into Facebook. Cool. Hi, everybody. We didn't know we were live.
Yeah.
Because Facebook Live.
Good thing we were decent, right?
All right. So let me just situate my screen here, and we're going to get going. So we are on our third session already. Wow. Today is just zooming by. Third session of the day for Because Life Can't Wait Telesummit. I'm your host, Angela Wills, and I am so excited to be bringing you these awesome speakers. And today we have Lain, and I forgot to ask you how to pronounce your last name, even though I've known you for a long, long time.
Amen, like a prayer. Amen.
Awesome. Lain Ehmann on our session today, talking about why simplicity sells. And Lain, thank you so much for being here, first off.
So excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Lain and I, how we met. Well, not really much. We met mutual friends, and we've known each other for a number of years. And I just wanted to invite her here to talk about some awesome topic I thought she could share with us. And Lain said she would be sharing why simplicity sells. And I'm really excited to hear about this because I'm reading a book called a book about being like boiling things down to the simplest form and focusing on the essentials. And I think this is just right along that alley, and I can't wait to hear what you have to share. And so I'm just gonna let you introduce yourself.
Sure. So when you and I first met, Angela, I was working on a business to consumer, so a BDC company where I produced events and held classes for the crafting industry. So I worked in my background, I was a journalist and also was an editor for a scrapbooking magazine. And then I transitioned that online. So when we first met, 5+ years ago, that was the business that I was running, and did that for a number of years. And then started getting burnout on that. It definitely was a numbers game in terms of having to bring in more people when you're selling something at $9, $10, classes for $19. It's just a numbers game. And I was really getting tired of that hustle, just having to run harder to stay in the same place. So about 2 years ago, I transitioned over to professional services, and now I help 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs create effective messaging and communication strategies for their business. So that includes everything from defining their message to how to communicate that through email, through webinars, through sales pages, autoresponder series, anything that has to do with words. And so that's what I do now.
Awesome. I was just double checking while you were introducing yourself because I thought I lost us, but we are here. We are live. So if anybody is seeing this, you guys just give us some likes. We just double check and everything's going smoothly, because when you're doing live, you want to make sure.
We never know if we're talking to people or talking to each other.
I got it up on the screen because the every other session, I was just right there. But I see we're getting some hearts and likes now, and I found it, and I can see what's going on. So I feel better about that.
Good.
Yeah, so you're helping people really just get their message out there. Mm-hmm. In a really effective way. That's what you're focusing on?
I want to make sure that who you are is who your customers think you are. Because oftentimes we think we're one thing, and then the customers see us as something totally different, or we're trying to convey that message about what we sell or what service we provide or what value we provide, and it's not landing right. Either it's hitting the wrong audience, or it's the wrong message, or it's at the wrong time, or so I just align everything and make sure that what they're seeing on Facebook is the same thing that they're seeing if they come to a live event with you, or they sign up for your email list, or take a course with you. So everything's integrated. So it doesn't feel disjointed, but instead is a nice, smooth, synergistic communication strategy.
And are you finding that it's something that people maybe have never thought about before? Like, do people think about it at all, or?
At the point that I start working with people, they typically have a successful business. They're at the 6 or 7 figure level. So they've been doing this for a while and they know there's holes. They know, like they put something in place and it worked for a while. And then now they know it could be better, or it's just not working anymore. Like they slept in, one of my clients, for instance, she put it together in autoresponder series and it's been there for 3 or 4 years now. And now her offerings have changed. She's refined her messaging. She's not a writer. So in those early days when you're doing everything yourself, you're just getting something there. So,
right.
So typically people know it's something they need. That's something
right.
not optimized. I talk a lot about optimizing, increasing conversions, and that's typically what they're looking for. And so that's where I dive in. I say, we can smooth this out. We can make it more efficient. We can make it so by the time somebody gets to your sales page, they're already pre-sold on you and your value.
Nice. All right. So in our session, I put 3 things that we were going to talk about today. And so maybe, do you think I should just run through all 3 right now?
Yeah, go ahead and hit all 3.
Yeah, okay. So you put that you're going to talk about why simplicity sells, and we had 3 points. So simple solution, simple message, and simple communication. And I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. So a lot of times, particularly in webinars, let's talk about that because a lot of people are using webinars to sell right now. Entrepreneurs or business owners feel like they've got to give the whole overview on what their program or their service does in every detail. In lesson 3, you're going to learn these 47 things. In lesson 4, you're going to learn how to use these 16 things. And people get overwhelmed. And there's a saying in marketing that I'm sure you've heard before, a confused mind does nothing. So oftentimes people just shut down. Or people, conversely, they'll talk so much and give so much value in the webinar that people can't absorb it all. And so they say, okay, I'll just work on this. And then once I have this piece figured out, I'll come back and hire her or him or buy the product to do the next step because we're giving them too much. So what people want is really one, simplicity. They want to know that you've got an answer. They don't need to know every little tiny detail of what that solution or that answer is. So for instance, if you and your husband or your partner are having issues and a friend says, you've got to go see Dr. X, whatever. And you go in to Dr. X and he says, in 6 weeks, you're going to feel like you're honeymooners again. You're going to remember why you fell in love. You're going to be, you're going to see your partner in a whole new light. That's what you want to know. You want to know that this person has a solution, that they've used it successfully before, and that it can work for you. You don't really care, at least I wouldn't, that in the 3rd meeting with this person, he's going to make me sit and quack like a duck or, take those boppy things and hit each other. I don't care about the details. I care about the solution. So that's why the simplicity of the solution is really what sells. People don't care about the buttons and I mean, to use the Steve Jobs example, iPod was 1,000 songs in your pocket. He didn't say, it'll be 16 gigs and it'll do this and it'll do that. And you can, this, I mean, he didn't get into those features. He focused on that simple solution. And then people were able to hook onto it. So people are constantly overcomplicating the sales process.
Yeah, that's really important. I think that I'm curious if when you're working with people, or in your opinion, do people have is there one overall solution that they should focus on, or that they do focus on, or are they having a solution for every product, or is it all, how does all, and for people who are just getting started, this will be helpful too, because I think how do I boil it down to a solution?
Exactly. And that is, we talk about simple. It doesn't necessarily mean easy on our side of things. It's actually really difficult to figure out who you are and the value you provide. And the gift that I gave you to distribute to attendees is actually a messaging document, a worksheet that people can walk through and start working on some of this. And it typically is like a 4 or 5+ hour process where I interview people about their business and who their clients are and who their customers are, what's the transformation they provide, what makes them unique, and getting into the details of how they stand out in a competitive landscape, because we want to convey all that very simply. And again, it's not easy, but it is possible. But it all comes from you really understanding who you are and how you fit into the landscape that you're playing in, the market that you're playing in. So that's something, is just a messaging worksheet that people can use to get started. And it starts with like a promise of what you do. It's not a mission statement, because mission statements tend to get really corporate speak, but it's really what is the value in common language? What do you actually do? I mean, if a VA, for instance, do they do they ease pain? What is the pain they're easing? If they're coming in and working with an entrepreneur or a stay-at-home mom or dad, or who has a work-at-home mom or dad, and they're trying to do everything themselves, that VA is going to be easing a very specific pain. I can take all those invoicing and financial issues off your plate so you have time to do what you do best. It's just, what do you do and why is it important? And really digging into that and going deeper and deeper and deeper, because sometimes we have one sense of what it is, but the underlying pain, do you save time? Do you save money? Do you make other things work better? But really getting at the specificity of that can be a little bit hard. And sometimes you need to work it through with a coach or somebody to get their reflection on things. But that's where it really starts. And then that underneath that is all the different things you do. So if you're a VA, maybe part of what you do is the financial bookkeeping and invoicing or something like that. And part of what you do is web page updates, so your website never gets shut down. Well, why is that important to the business owner? Because they're losing money if that website's down. So getting into what the importance under the importance, like, of course, everybody knows that your website should be up, but why? What is that pain? And the more you talk to that, it's going to resonate with people more. It makes you stand out because you're so clear on how you can help this person.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it all boils down to achieving something. I mean, no matter what you're doing, that's what you're looking for. Like that example you gave us, they want a better relationship. And what we need to do is help people achieve stuff, but they also need to have that big desire, and it has to be something that's exciting for them. And I can definitely see how people would need a coach for that, or even, as you've discovered this. So I'm not in the beginning stages. I really think I'm like understanding my message really clearly and what I serve, but I can see like bigger picture when you're talking about simple solution for your business, and then all of the other underlying things need to support that, right?
Exactly. And it goes into that on the worksheet. You can see where you can fill in some details on that. And any product or service you provide then should build up to that larger mission of what you're doing, that larger promise as your business or your brand. And that's where sometimes it gets tough, because people say, well, I've got this little thing over here that I did, a year ago, and it's, an ebook on toy cars or something, Hot Wheels, and it's really selling well, but I don't want to, how can I fold that into my VA business? Well, the honest answer is you can't. It doesn't add value to your brand. Does that mean you have to kill it off? No, but you shouldn't be trying to pull that in when it doesn't. It's like when you go to, I don't know if you've seen those funny memes online where it'll say like, bait and tackle shop and dry cleaner, or bait and tackle and donuts or something. You're like,
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like some little shack where they're trying to do everything, and then all of a sudden they're doing nothing. So can you still do that? Sure, but make it a side thing to your main core business, and don't try to encapsulate everything. Sometimes the most critical thing we can do is knowing what to cut.
That's awesome. Yeah. Actually, you answered like something I was going to ask you as I was thinking of it before you started talking about it. Is like, I see a lot, people are trying to do a lot of unrelated things. Right? Like it's very common.
Right.
Like I get excited about one thing, or a client of mine is trying to run 3 different businesses or 2 different websites.
Yep.
Do you still see that at the level you're coaching with? Like, do you still see people with?
Yeah, I have seen that. In fact, a client that I was working with recently has 2 businesses, and one is an advertising business where they do really cool like graffiti art like outside Final Four in basketball or something, they'll go and do like a temporary installation with chalk art or a wall of some kind that's temporary, and people take pictures in front of it, and then it kind of goes away after the event's over. It's super cool. But
That's cool.
So he had that, and then he also had an Amazon, like Fulfilled by Amazon business. So he had these two businesses, and one was stagnant. The advertising one was just flat, and the other one was growing. And he says, I'm going to give this advertising one kind of like one more jolt of energy and see what happens. And we got partway into the progress, or into our project together, because it was like a 3-month project. He's like, I'm killing this. It's just sapping my energy. So he had been doing it, but he realized the need to focus on one or the other.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard in early stages because you're not sure what's going to stick, and you're throwing a lot of stuff out and to test. And that is totally fine. If you don't know yet, it's okay. You can be in a testing phase, and maybe I'll try VA stuff over here, and then I'm going to do some courses here, and maybe I'm going to try being a social media manager over here. That's fine, but don't worry too much then about summing up your brand until realize that you're testing those things. And at the end of the day, either you're going to have to cut some to focus on one, or you're going to have to spin them out into their own little thing if they don't mesh together nicely.
Yeah,
I think we've all gone through that.
Yeah, that's really good advice too. Like, if you're going to have those out there, know what stage you're at, because, you can't be trying to, well, if you're trying to like just have growth, like massive growth, but you're testing at the same time. You have one stage or another, right?
Right. Like this guy, he got to the point where the Amazon business was going well, and it was going to either he was going to have to invest more into it, or he's going to have to choose. Right. And so he knew that, and then he made his choice. And was it easy? No, because he's had this other business for a while, but at a certain point you realize you're just pulled in too many different directions.
Yeah, I had different experiences with doing that myself as well, like trying different things.
Yep.
And you get to that point where you're like, okay, well, this has just got to go, and it just makes sense. You kind of have to learn for yourself.
Yeah.
And then other times I've been like, okay, well, I'm going to try 2 things again, and then I build something up and sell it off. So I use it as like a way to.
Right. It's like an incubator. Yeah.
Distracted.
I like that. That's great.
Yeah. So I mean, and your client, whatever, if he didn't sell it, but he could, sell stuff off. You can use it.
Right. Exactly.
So simple message. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We were actually just talking about it. So it's like, once you have defined your solution of what you do, you need a way to convey that to people in a manner that they're going to understand it. And that means, whether people call it an elevator pitch or, there's a lot of phrases for it. I mean, how often have you been asked in an elevator to explain what you do? But basically, it is a simple way to talk to people about what you do and providing that value. And there's a lot of different frameworks you can use. I've heard of the one that says, well, and then blank is like, how, the audience you serve, so maybe it's online business owners. You know how online business owners, and then you would describe a problem, always have 14 projects going at once, and they never can decide which one to work on? Well, maybe you're like a business valuator or something. You can help people sell off stuff or know what to kill or whatever. I help them solve that by da-da-da-da-da. So that's one way to do it. Mine is, I help 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs. So I identify really clearly who that group is. What do I do? Define their message clearly so that they can da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to do because, one, it makes you think about who it is I serve and being really specific on that, but also making it simple enough so you don't have to sit there for 15 minutes describing it because it's too specific. So that's just really the next stage, is taking that solution you provide and being able to convey it to people really clearly in a way that they're going to hear it and resonate with it in the terms that they understand. So it's like the thing about weight loss. Like, after you have a baby, people just say, I want to get rid of the baby fat. That's a common thing moms say. So I'm not going to go online and search, my baby's 12 now, but I still have the baby fat. I'm not going to go online and search effective ways to eliminate like some clinical
postpartum
abdominal lipoids or something. I'm not going to say that. So you have to say it in a way that they're going to say, oh my gosh, this person gets me. They understand me. They're speaking my language.
Yeah. That takes some time too. I mean, I know that was one of my worst questions to answer if I was out talking to people, like previously, right? If people ask you what you do,
right.
And I knew I finally got it when people actually engaged after I said it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Just like shut down. You know? And there's different answers for different situations. If you're just at the kids' school hanging out on the playground, you probably, you're not making a sales pitch. But you do want to be able to describe what you do in an effective way. So if they did know somebody who, or they themselves are your target audience, they would pick up on those cues that you're sending out.
Yeah, and it's good to just know your message so well that you just kind of cater it quickly to just kind of share info with them,
right,
and have a conversation. So it was so nice when that finally clicked for me. Now I feel like I can explain it, and then there's some people. Like my hairdresser, I had a new hairdresser, and she's like, thought it was so cool, and then she said it was inspiring, and I'm like, wow,
that's great.
Thank you.
So cool. Yeah.
I finally communicated it, and someone said it was cool. I love her forever now. But I think that's such an important job you've given yourself, or important business that you've decided to help people with, because I mean, what other than communicating your message and making it simple to really just grow your business? It's so important. So
right. And it's hard to limit yourself. I mean, I run into that all the time with my clients. They want to revert back and make it really complicated, and I say, you know what, people aren't going to hear it. People aren't going to hear what you're saying because you're getting too complicated. We've got to make it super simple. So if it's in a Facebook ad, people grab something from it. If it's in, a tweet, I mean, it just, our world is going so fast that it's got to be super clear. Otherwise, it's like stoplights, red, yellow, green. I mean, how much more simple could you get? It's got to be that level of like split second. Okay, I got something from this. I understand at least a bit about what they're talking about.
Can it be explained to a 3-year-old? Because my 3-year-old understands red, yellow, and green.
Totally, yeah.
Well, yeah, she does. She understands yellow too, so she gets all of them. And I've heard that before, to boil it down to like a 7-year-old age.
Yeah.
If you want to get it really simple, because the 3-year-old has some just core understanding of things, and
right. And it's oftentimes, and this goes in with the simple communication too, is that people think, oh, it's business, it's got to be fancy or academic, and that just does not fly unless you're writing for an audience that needs to hear it in that manner. Like lawyers, they have a certain way of writing for each other. But lawyers, I have a client who's a lawyer, when she's writing to her client base, she can't use that legalese. That's what turns people off and shuts them down and makes them confused. So you have to really know your audience.
So you mentioned Facebook ads. Do you have any favorite ways to communicate messages to market?
Yeah, I think the big thing on Facebook is remembering you're always disrupting people. And not in a negative way, but you want to grab their attention that's on something else. Nobody goes on Facebook looking for your Facebook ad. Whereas in a blog post, I see a lot of people do them like blog posts. It doesn't work because if somebody's reading your blog post, either they came to your website looking for your blog, or you emailed it to them and you have their attention. You have their undivided attention at least for a few seconds. On Facebook, you never can assume you have somebody's undivided attention. And that's why we see a lot of stuff like the weird pictures or, just really strange things trying to get us to look at it. Like you see, I mean, there's some really weird pictures that you'll see, like people with, I don't know, you know what I mean though. You see strange things.
There was a brief time where there was like the red box thing. I think they did that.
Exactly. Yeah, because they're trying to disrupt and do something different. And that's what you have to remember on Facebook is that it's you're in the middle. It's like in the newspaper. Like there's 10 other things going on at the same time, and you've got to grab their attention very quickly. And I never advocate for doing anything that's like clickbait or anything like that, but just making it so it is some kind of interruption for them. Either you can call out who they are really specifically, that can work really well, like, hey, new online business owners, hey, LuLaRoe legging distributors, or I get tons of invites. I think I had 3 this morning to parties. Yeah. Don't invite me. If you're watching this, don't invite me to anymore. I live in Arizona. I don't wear leggings. But, you know, calling so somebody automatically like, oh, they're talking to me. With just that disruption is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So remember where you are and kind of who you're messaging.
Exactly.
And how you're communicating to them.
Yep.
And like you said, blog posts, Facebook, email is another different one, right? Because then they're specifically invited you into their inbox. So
right.
Communication. So.
Yep.
Yeah, so this has been so awesome, and we're just doing like half an hour sessions, but if you have anything else to add before you or after you do, I have a surprise question for you.
Oh boy.
So did you have anything you wanted to add? And also tell us a little bit, you already told us about your freebie though, but if there's anything.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I see a lot of is a lot of tricks and hacks for writing great headlines, or, you know, in persuasion techniques or influence. And, you know, that stuff can be really useful when you've already got your message, you've already got everything else hammered in, you've got a great product or service, you know who your audience is, and you're at the margin kind of. But I see that stuff like, it's like when in fitness, most of us don't need to be bodybuilders. We're not going to compete in the bikini contest. So like all those little tiny tricks and hacks aren't going to do us any good when we just, you know, I just want people to focus on clarity over cleverness, and that the hacks, I mean, clear, if you're just clear, you're going to be so much better than everybody else out there. Forget about like all these little crazy influence tricks and stuff like that. A lot of them we use naturally anyway, but yeah, don't focus on the little tricks. Like if I put this word before that word, then, you know, what's the one word I can use to make people buy? I mean, just focus on having a great offer and communicating it clearly to the audience who's going to care about it.
Love that. I love clarity over cleverness.
Oh,
it's very good.
Huge.
Clarity first for sure, and really understanding what you're doing. And awesome. So you do have that freebie for us. Thank you so much for that. And that's just to reiterate real quickly. They're gonna help. It's gonna help them get clear on their solution. Is that right?
Yes, and I call it a messaging worksheet, but it'll talk about who you are, how you would describe yourself, what makes you different, and then you can play with that. And I encourage you to get in a group or work with a coach or whatever to just try it out on a couple people. And if you've got a mastermind or something like that, it can be a fun just exercise to get you thinking about what you do in a new way.
And I didn't ask you your domain. Where can they go and find you?
You can go to fastlane.com, FAST, and then Lain is LAIN. So
awesome.
fastlane.com.
Also, and the freebie will be linked on top of this video, as well as I've got a document with all of the free gifts. I'm going to be sending out emails. So everybody make sure to grab that, because that is going to be really helpful.
Great.
Find that solution. Make sure that you really understand who you're speaking to, what your message is, and keeping it simple. So awesome. Thank you so much, Lain. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. Give us some hearts and likes and share this using the hashtag LaptopLifer. And I'm giving away a 3-month membership to my club for one person who is picked at random from those hashtags on Facebook. I do have one more question for you. It is, why do you love, and I'm asking everybody this, why do you love the laptop lifestyle?
Oh my gosh, the flexibility is incredible. I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm sure everybody's going to say the flexibility, but I cannot imagine sitting in the same place every day doing the same thing. And I usually go to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning and I work for a little while and then go home and work. I'm going off for a week to California with my daughter, and I can stay in touch with my clients. And oh my gosh, it makes me feel free. It really does. And I'm not talking about sitting on the beach with the Mai Tai or something. I'm talking about just being able to live my life and support my family and not miss anything with my kids. unless unless I'm tired of them. I'll be honest.
Freedom from everything.
Yeah, freedom to and freedom from. Totally, I'm leaving. I just love that. I'm not tethered down. I love it.
That's awesome. And no, everybody's saying like different versions of the same thing. So it's really awesome to hear. I love hearing it. Love hearing all the different ways people are, everybody who I've invited has this freedom, and it's great to hear.
Great. I can't even imagine. I'm like not I'm not safe for work anymore. Isn't that the NSW like hashtag?
Yeah.
Not work safe, whatever.
For work. Yeah, there's something there. I can't remember what it is. But that's awesome. Love it. Love it. So thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks everybody. And we got one more session coming up soon.
Bye guys.
Bye. Thank you.